Start recording. Here we go. Here are the answers to the homework I assigned yesterday. 500, and I did do some rounding on these ones. 544, 886.791. But you got to round smartly. You would never round this, for example, to 1 kilometer. Because in the context of the question, that 209 meters is a big distance. 42 degrees. 7.8 degrees. The pendulum is 5.36 centimeters higher once it's been lifted. And then the bonus question was a doozy. Could have been a doozy, I guess. 392 meters is the correct answer to the bonus question. Is there anything anyone wants me to go over from any piece of that? A few, yes. Number 4. Okay, let's do 4. Billy's kite has a string 4 meters long and is flying 27 meters above his eye level. We want to find the angle of elevation of the kite. So basically, I mean, there's not a lot of space here, but I'll draw it in. You've got Billy. He's flying a kite. And we're told that the kite is 27 meters above his eye level. And the string is 40 meters long. So what length is the string on the triangle? Or what side of the triangle is the length of the string? I'll ask it that way. Yes, the hypotenuse. Or this, I saw someone gesture. And I want the angle of elevation, which is that angle right there. So I've got an opposite and I've got a hypotenuse, so I'm going to use sine. Sine of the angle I'm looking for is equal to the opposite over the hypotenuse. To find, I didn't go over this in your notes, I was just going to see if you remembered how to do this. If I want to find the angle from a ratio, how do I use the trig ratio? What do I do? Yes.
You use like the -1?
Yes. The inverse trig ratio is how we say that. So I'm going to take the sine inverse or the sine minus 1 of the other side, 27 over 40. Sine inverse of 27 over 40 should be 42 degrees. That was question number 4. Comments, questions, concerns. Anything further? Yes, Eric. Number 2, the angle of depression of an aircraft carrier from an approaching aircraft is 52.2 degrees. So what that means is this. You're in a plane and you're looking down at a boat. Your drawings don't have to be quite as accurate as mine are, but, you know, I'm a fan of the Navy. So let's at least make an attempt at drawing an aircraft carrier. There's what I want. That's the page I want. Cool. Angle of depression means from, if you're in the airplane, you're looking straight ahead and then you tilt your head down. So this is the angle that we're dealing with, that guy there. We are told that that's 52.2 degrees. If the plane is 700 meters above level of the deck of the carrier, how far away is the plane from the carrier? So that height is 700 meters. And now this is where things get a little bit fuzzy. When I say how far away the plane is from the carrier, if I wanted this distance on top here, I would say, what is the horizontal distance from the plane to the carrier? But I want the direct distance from the plane to the carrier because that's the distance the plane is going to fly to get there. I want to know how far that plane's actually going to go. If that was fuzzy, you're always welcome to ask for clarification. So I want this distance right here, the hypotenuse of that triangle. Eric, do I need to go further or are you good? Because I can keep going if you want. Okay, let's keep going. So I'm looking for the hypotenuse, and I know this side here And I'm given this angle here. So what ratio am I going to use, sine, cos, or tan? Who said sine? Why, James? Because that's opposite and that's hypotenuse. So we're going to use sine. Sine of my angle is equal to the opposite side over the hypotenuse, so let's fill it in. Sine of 52.2 is going to be equal to 700 over x. We solved some of this before when we were dealing with just the introduction to the review of algebra. I'm going to multiply x on both sides. I'm going to divide both sides by sine 52.2. And I'm going to get x equals 700 over the sine of 52.2. And then I'm going to ram that through a calculator. And I should get 88.6. Or I think it's 885 point something. Which I rounded to 886. Cool, Eric? Okay. Anything else? Anyone want me to do? Yeah. The bonus question. Let's do the bonus question. The bonus question is going to require some additional paper. Here we go. Because I need to draw a little bigger than I did on my notes on the body. We have two buildings. For the sake of my drawing, I'm trying to make one obviously smaller than the other. And we're told a few things. The angle of depression of the top of the Billings building, so that's the taller one. If you're looking down from the building, it means it's the taller one. So that's this guy here. This is Billings. The angle of depression from the top of the building to the roof of the Wolcott building, we're going down this way. The angle of depression means I'm dealing with that guy there, is 33.10 degrees. It's that guy there. We're also told that from the 15th floor, the angle of depression is 21.5 degrees. So from here, somewhere on the 15th floor, this angle of depression, it's not a great looking triangle. I should get a ruler. It would make everyone's life better. Oh, that's really bad. That distance there, the straight line, not the squiggly line, is the triangle we're going to use. I don't have the distance. I have this angle in here. We're told that that angle is 21 point something, 21.5 degrees. We're also told that the distance between the roof and that 15th floor is 101 meters. From there to there. And what I want to find is that distance there. How far apart are these buildings? So, did anyone get 392? Okay. Does anyone have an idea of maybe where they want to start with this question? Zaid, what do you think?
Well, you have 33.1 degrees there. So
Yeah.
you can subtract that from 90 to get the degrees of the 101 meters.
Say that again?
So you have the 33.1,
Yeah.
right? And then if you continue it into where the 101 meters is, and you have that right triangle then, of where the pink, green, and black all line up.
Right here?
Yeah. So if you subtract by 90, you can get, or subtract by the 33.1.
You can get this angle here.
Yeah.
I suppose we could do that. So it's going to be 66.9. It's an option. Not sure how useful that's going to be, but it's an option. Any other thoughts of how we want to approach this thing? 56? That seems more reasonable. No, you're right. You don't have to confirm. You're right. So, what now? Maybe it would help if I toss some things, if I move some things around. This side here is also 101, and I don't know this height here. If we don't know something that might be useful, what can we do with that thing? What should we do if we don't know a value that we might want to find out? We'll put a letter on a variable. So I'm going to call this the height here that we don't know, h, and we're going to start to manipulate it. From the angles that I have been given, what sides are we dealing with? Opposite, adjacent, or hypotenuse? What combination of sides are we dealing with here? Adjacent. So that's this distance here and this distance here, which are the same. It's going to maybe be important later. And we're dealing with the opposite. Thank you, whoever said that. This side is opposite that angle. So if I'm dealing with opposites and adjacents, I'm probably going to need which trig ratio? Tangent. So I'm going to use the tan ratio with both these angles. See what we get. Tan of 21.5 degrees is equal to opposite over adjacent. The opposite side is the side here we don't know. I called it h. And this is the side that we're actually looking for. I called it x. So I'm going to get h over x. Now I've got tan. The other angle is 33.1. And that's going to be, the opposite side is what? It's not 101. It's not just 101. 101 only takes me to here. 101 plus h, I heard a few people say. And the adjacent side is still x. Well, that's interesting. Anyone have an idea of something we might want to try doing? I have two equations here. I have two variables here. James. I could isolate for either one. So we did this in grade 10, yes? Does everyone have pre-calc 10? I haven't finished taking a look at all of your. We've all got. If you all have pre-calc 10, I'll say it this way: if you don't have pre-calc 10, let me know later, and I will fill in some of the holes that you're missing. But if you all have pre-calc 10, then one of the skills that you should have looked at is solving systems of equations. If you were in my pre-diploma 9 class, you definitely did this, but grade 9 was a long time ago. Solving systems of equations, you have two variables and two equations. You can isolate one equation for one variable, which we've already kind of done in the algebra section, and then you substitute it into the other equation. So James, you said you want to isolate which variable? Do you? Do we? Okay, so let's find h. So what variable do you want to isolate for, and in which equation do you want to isolate it? Over here, you want to put h down below. Bold move, man. Let's do it. Are you second guessing yourself because I said it was a bold move? Yeah, well, you're going to have 1 over x, which means we're just going to have to move some more stuff around. Okay, now we want to multiply by x on both sides. And you want to divide by tan? Okay, we can do that. Who's confused? Where have I lost? Who have I lost? Okay. Let me finish writing this. Okay, where did I lose you? Okay. If you remember the equation that we started with tan 21.5 equals h over x. What James said he wanted to do was isolating for x. I want to get x by itself. To get x by itself, well, and not only by itself, but also in the numerator. So get it by itself in the numerator. Because it's in the denominator over here, I need to multiply both sides by x. So it cancels on this side, and it shows up top here. I've got x times tan 21.5 equals h. And then I want to get x by itself. I just did these two steps. I did it in one step. So then I divided by tan of 21.5 on both sides. It cancels on this side, and I'm left with x on the left-hand side. And then I have h over tan 21.5 on the right-hand side. Does that explanation help at all, or are we still foggy? Okay. How about my girls whispering on the side? We feel a little bit better about that, or are we still fuzzy? I see some nodding. We're okay? Okay. James, keep going. You want to shove it into the other equation, okay? So I've got tan of 33.1 equals 101 plus h all over h over tan of 21.5. I'm not convinced, James, that this was the best way to do this problem, but it will work. What now? How do I solve this thing? This is something that's all within your skill set to solve, by the way. What do I do? Yeah, I don't want, dividing by this fraction is awful. So we're going to multiply by the reciprocal of that fraction. So I'm going to get tan of 33.1 equals, I'm going to put the top in brackets, 101 plus h times tan of 21.5 over h. Believe it or not, this is better. What now? Sorry? No. You gotta be real careful when you cancel the h here, because there's multiple terms in here, and h does not leave both of them. Because we're adding, there's multiple terms here, so we can't just cross it out. There is a few steps we could go from here. This is a demonstration of probably what's going to be the hardest skill for you guys to learn in Physics 11. And that is to force yourself to try things when you're not totally sure of the direction you're supposed to go in. And that is way harder for Physics 11 students than Physics 12 students, because a successful Physics 11 student has been broken a little bit. My goal here is to break you a little bit. And what I want to break away from you is this fear. You're in Physics 11, so you're all probably pretty good math students, is what I'm willing to bet. But what happens with students like you guys is that if you can't see in your head where things are going to go, you refuse to try. Because what if I try the wrong thing? And I know that's there because it was in me. And as soon as you can break yourself from that, because this is just pen on paper. What happens if we screw up? Nothing. We tear away the paper, we burn it, we start again. And some of you are like, it's so much work. And you're right, it is. But ultimately, we don't actually learn if you can't break yourself away from, what if what I'm going to try doesn't work? Who cares? I don't. Okay? So, and that, we're going to spend a semester trying to break you of that. And those of you who are going to be successfully broken of that are the ones that are going to have success in this course. And then again in Physics 12. So we have to try something. Someone tell me something. Zaid.
Can you divide by tan 33.1?
We could. We could. To save us all a little bit of writing, I'm going to tell you that's a really bad idea. But we could do that. If we did, it would bring this down on here and we'd leave it with 1 on this side. I want to get h alone. So adding things to this side is not something we really want to do. We could multiply h on both sides. That would get it out of this denominator. That might help us. Getting rid of denominators is always good. So let's do that. I'm going to multiply h on both sides for the sake of my writing. We've got that. And now we have h tan 33.1 equals 101 in brackets plus h, close the brackets, tan of 21.5. Zaid, had we done what you wanted to do, that would have been a great example of seeing that that didn't work and then me having to start over.
Yeah, okay.
Now what? Naya?
Could we minus, oh, never mind, never mind.
No.
I was going to say, could we minus the h from the 101, and then you'd have to minus it from the other side, but then you're not left with an 8.
That's not the next step. That's the step after. We want to do that eventually, but we have to do something first. Currently, this h is embedded inside these brackets.
You have to get rid of the bracket.
Got to get rid of the brackets. To do that, what do I have to do, Naya?
Divide?
I could divide. That's one option. The other option is to do what? I could multiply this tan 21.5 in. Both of those are equally acceptable options. Naya, which would you prefer?
Probably multiply.
Oh, you're changing your mind.
Yeah.
Okay. If we multiply it in, here's what's going to happen. It's going to multiply in here, and it's going to multiply in here. So we're going to get h tan 33.1 equals 101 tan 21.5 plus h tan 21.5. Boom. Now what? Naya, we do what you want to do before. We're going to subtract, except now it's not just h, it's h tan 21.5. We're going to move this whole thing over. H tan 33.1. We're going to subtract it from both sides, so it's going to be minus h tan 21.5 equals 101 tan 21.5. Believe it or not, this is actually an improvement. Now what? We're going to use all the skills that you've used and learned in Pre-Calc 10 and whatever you may have seen in any 11 course you took. I want to get h by itself. What can I do with h on that left-hand side? I could. How would I do that? So I'm going to factor out h. Sure. So I'm going to get h outside. I factored out the h because h is in both these terms. I can pull it out front. And I'm going to be left with tan of 33.1 minus tan of 21.5. That's going to equal this. 101 tan 21.5. Now what? Manuel. We don't have any denominators right now. No, because this one's embedded in a set of brackets. I can't just, if this was just a chain of multiplication, yes, but it's not. This is its own separate term, so I can't do that. What's going on inside these brackets here? Subtraction of what? James. Yeah, this is just a number, right? Tan of 33.1 is going to give us a value. tan of 21.5 is going to give us a value. We can subtract these things. We don't have to carry this around. What is the tan of 33.1 minus the tan of 21.5? Manuel.
I don't know, but why don't you just divide all of that to the other side and then you put
That also is an acceptable option, but someone said this first, so we're going to do this first. Had you said that 10 seconds ago, I would do that. But now I want this value. Sorry. H, and that value is 0.258. Oh yeah, I just want to make sure I'm hearing you properly because there's noise coming in from the hallway. 258.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Oh, more?
Oh, absolutely.
25798.
2, so this is actually 257.
Yeah.
98. Give me 2 more.
13.
What's the next one?
23.
We'll keep it there. I don't want to cut off too early because that's where I'm going to get my rounding error from. So I'm going to leave a whole bunch of decimal places here. You have 5 more minutes. We're going to finish this example. Equals 101 tan of 21.5. Now, Manuel, I can do what you were going to suggest before. I can divide this down. So I'm going to get H equals 101 tan 21.5 divided by 0.257981323. I can ram that whole thing into a calculator, and we're going to find that H equals what? $154. That third decimal, does it round up to a 7? Okay, there we go. Okay, we'll leave it at 154.216. And that's going to be in meters. Are we done? No, because we've only found this. So this now is 154.216. I want to find this. What do I do?
you have the opposite and you have the angle, so
No, Connor, you keep going. Ignore Manuel.
I don't know.
You just no, ignore everything Manuel may have
No.
said.
I know you keep pointing to the bottom X.
Oh, you want to use the top one?
Yeah, I
Okay.
never solved the top one.
I mean, you're cool that they are the same, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So then the only thing we have to do here is for this side, we have to add these two together.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do the top one. So what is this total distance here then? This is going to be
155.26.
255, I think.
Oh yeah, it's 255.
0.216. Okay, so then what trig ratio are we going to use?
I don't remember what they are, but I'm guessing
We've got
opposite. You have like, and we don't want so 10 opposite and adjacent.
we use opposite and adjacent. TOA, SOHCAHTOA. Tan of 33.10 equals opposite 255.216 over adjacent, which is x. I multiply x on both sides. I divide down the tan. I'm going to get x equals 255.216 over the tan of 33.10, and we desperately hope we get 392. What is this value?
391.5.
391.57. So that's 43 centimeters off. I think that's a fair round. 392 meters. It looks gross. This is likely like the absolute worst kind of question that you would have been given in like grade 10 trig. And here we are starting with it in physics 11. Oh, that's a long hole we can dive into. I'm not going to give you, you won't have to use this, you will not face a trig question of this level in this course. It gets more interesting in grade 12, but you'll also have sine law and cosine law to deal with. That's the first 40 minutes gone, and we've only just gone over the homework. When you come back, we're going to go over sig figs. We're going to learn you all about sig figs.
almost all of these. Can I take a picture?
Oh yeah, and it's recording. I've got a video of it too.
Okay.
So the video goes through it all. But if you want to take a picture, absolutely.
Mr. Duida,
Yes.
I'm not going to be back after lunch.